What's going on, guys? SmartHelping.com here. We got a banger. Cumulative distribution joint venture waterfalls. I always love when I can build new logic. I've had 2 requests for this. I've built it once for somebody like 6 months ago, and that's enough demand for me to make a template about it. So, what is cumulative distribution? All it's saying is normally in a joint venture, you have an LP and a GP. And if you have incentives for the GP to do better for the LP, generally it means, if the LP gets a better return, they're willing to accept the lower share of the cash flow over time. So they're trying to incentivize the GP or the operators to do better for them, and in return, they'll give the GP more of the cash flow. So what this does, instead of looking at a target internal rate of return or an equity multiple, it says if the LP has reached a certain distribution level, that's the hurdle. So here I did 6 hurdles. And so the first one, tier 1, is saying from 0 to $500,000 of distributions to the LP. The LP is going to share 90% of that cash flow, or get 90% and give the GP 10%. So what does that mean? Well, look here, tier 1. The max that can ever be distributed to the LP in tier 1 is 500,000. So you can see the LP distributions here add up to 500,000 and it stops. And this logic is very difficult. It is the main thing that's hard is to get the tiers when it's going in between tiers, and you need to split some of the cash at a given percentage, other cash at another, and this could be a lot of money, and those percentages can be very important. So that's what becomes very difficult to make dynamic, so that you can change these hurdles to any numbers and these percentages to any percentages and these distributions to any amount, and it will work and flow through all the way through all the tiers. So that's what I've done here, and I did it on periods. There's 60 periods. Generally, that's like if you have a 5-year model and you want to do it by month, you can do it here. If it's just an annual and you want to show like 3 years or 5 years or 10 or just one period and you just want to split it based on that, you can do that. Just delete all the other columns. Like if I go over here, I just want to delete these. You can it won't mess anything up. You can delete them, and then voila, you just have 10 periods now, and they're yearly instead of monthly. The hurdles all work the same, and the chart actually auto updates to that if you just delete columns. Same goes for the summary. So anyway, let me get back to it, and before I forget, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That helps. Like the video, and all of that is appreciated. Okay, so on this template, so we got a first hurdle 500,000. So this hurdle says there's 200,000 to distribute in period 1. Well, we haven't reached our hurdle of 500 yet, so we know the cash is only being split 90-10. So you can see 180-20 is 90-10. We have checker calculations to make sure it's doing the right calculations, as well as a cumulative check here for the LP and GP. So period 1, we only have 200, 180. The LP's only got 180, so we got to go to period 2. There's another 200,000 available. The LP gets 90%. LP's still only at 360. Okay, so we're not in the tier 2 yet. And then period 3, we do breach. So now so you can see here it's 500,000, but we can't take a full 90% of this, or else it will be over. So this is where things get tricky, and that's why there's a lot of formulas going on in here and a lot of logic that makes it dynamic. It is not easy, and I've been doing these for a long time, and it took me a while to figure out the best way to do this so it's very clean, smooth, and it works on any situation and any numbers that are input. So you can see here we got a 90-10 split, and then look at the remainder. 44,000 of this 200,000 now has to be split for the next tier. So tier 2 is 80-20. So now you can see that 44,444 is split between the LP and GP at 80-20, and there's our check. And then we go 80-20 until the second hurdle is reached, which is, so the first hurdle is up to 500,000. The second hurdle is from 500 to 200,000, or 2 million, and that's 80-20. As soon as that 2 million has been reached by the LP, so now they've been distributed a full 2 million, 500,000 to 1.5 million. Now we go to tier 3, Tier 3, 70, 30. So you can see where's tier 3. So here's tier 2 ending, and then tier 3 starting. And still 200,000 a period, so we're splitting that now 70-30 for tier 3 based on what's defined here. Now if I change this, let's say I change this to 75-25, you can see now tier 3 is 75-25. So all dynamic, everything flows very nicely. All the checks are in place to make sure the aggregate or the individual granular results equal the aggregate, which has to match this table. And you can configure this table however you want. Also, you've got to match the distributions. Can't be distributing more than is available. So there's checks in place here to make sure that does not happen, or make sure you can see the calculations are correct. And then it goes down tier 2, 3, 4, 5. Tier 6 is essentially anything over this last amount, 20 million. Is split at this rate. I could actually put thereafter on this. And so here you can see, if I just scroll over, let's see, where does tier 6 start? We don't ever get to it. So 8.6 million is the total. Let's say we do get to it, so let's add another, 20 million here. And so you can see, even in the same period, you can have multiple distributions in different tiers. Let's say, I could put it all into tier 1 and say 50 million. And now you can see, if I go down, all the logic's working, and here's the splits. Every tier, here's how much is split for the LP. Sorry, this is GP, this is LP. And you can see the amounts in each tier, and then the thereafter amount. So that all flows very nicely. And like I said, it could be any amount of periods. I just did 60 because that's probably enough to fit any situation. And if you need more, you just extend the formulas out, and everything is automated. So just extend the formulas, or delete columns if you don't want to see all that and you want the charts to show less periods. The charts at the bottom just show distributions for the LP and GP. Also, this a nice percentage share shows over time the percentage that the GP and LP are getting. So you can see over time the LP is giving up share as it reaches, as the hurdles go up. So as more and more has been distributed to them, they're willing to give up less. We also have effective percentage share, so you can see in any crossover, so period 3 is a crossover, the effective percentage, because some's going to be split 90-10, some's 80-20, so some periods you might have a crossover, and that is also important to show what that number is. Let me go back and remove this 20 million. Let's just put this back to how it was. Now this template will be part of the joint venture bundle as well, so I have, 6 or 7 templates there for $199. This is going to be part of that, no increase in price. Or if you want to buy this separately, I'm debating on the price. It's got to be more than 45, but I don't want to do 125. I mean, maybe. Like this logic, if someone were to sit down and try to do this, it's going to take you, if you're not very, very good at logic, it's going to take you 6 to 10 hours, or potentially you just can't even do it. So the barrier to be able to recreate this is hard. Even if you're an expert, to recreate this, it'd take you at least 2 hours to do all the formatting and just do all the tiers. So it takes a lot of time to recreate if you know what you're doing, and if you don't know what you're doing and you're trying to learn, it's going to take a whole bunch of time. So that's kind of how I figure on my pricing and what's a good value to sell the template for. The link will be in the description box below. I think I might settle on $75 as a fair price for this. Yeah, I think that's fair. So remember, if you want it, go to the link in the description box or go to smarthelping.com. Look for the joint venture bundle at the top. It'll be in there. You can buy it individually or with the bundle. I accept PayPal, credit cards, crypto, Ethereum, Bitcoin, all that stuff. So pretty flexible on payments. But I think this is a really... So I've done a lot of joint ventures. I've never done this distribution hurdle. I've never built a template for it. And I know people use this as a way to do joint venture deals. So I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do another one tomorrow on just the vanilla IRR hurdles. And we'll see where we go. All right. See you on the next one.